Good morning, everybody, and welcome to Recovery Classroom. My name is Drew, and this weekend we are incredibly saddened to share the devastating loss of our friend, our brother, and our colleague in recovery, Mr. Joshua McCormick. We called him Bigfoot. I have a whole binder full of notes that I've been making on him all weekend long, and every time I would find myself writing something down, I'd always notice that there was a smile creeping on my face, even in the midst of this disaster. There's always a smile, and that was just who he was. He could always bring a smile into your face. So I'm going to try to summarize some of these thoughts, and I apologize in advance for looking at my notes. I have so many thoughts on him that I wanted to share. Who would have ever thought that a drug addict from Greenbrier County, West Virginia, could make such an impact on so many people's lives? His footprint could leave such a huge footprint on the lives of so many people. Even my son, when we got the news Friday, my son called me from high school. He's in high school. He called me on Friday and said, "Dad, please tell me this isn't true." That's the kind of impact that Bigfoot left on me and my family and those of us who loved him most. With Josh, you always knew where he stood. There was no question about that. You always knew what he thought. Whether you wanted to know or not, he would let you know what he thought, but he would always do so in such a way that you were laughing. I can't think of a single solitary instance where I recall a conversation or even a thought where a smile wasn't on my face, or a conversation where I wasn't busting out laughing. I can't recall a single instance where he wasn't putting the needs, wants, desires, and well-being of others in front of his own, even to his detriment. We all came from different backgrounds, and so he would always say I'm a trash can junkie, but yet he formed some of the most deeply meaningful relationships I've ever seen. He formed unbreakable bonds with us that even now are still unbreakable and unshakable. We would debate and disagree and argue, and the whole time still have a hell of a good time. That's how he got the name Bigfoot. We would argue and debate over Bigfoot, and he'd tell us about all these little tribes of Bigfoot all over the country, and I'd be like, "That's not fucking real. There's no evidence. There's no proof." He's like, "Yeah, there's no physical proof of recovery either, but yet here we are." And I was like, "Shit, he got me." He wasn't perfect by any means, and he'd be the first person to point that out. He'd be the first person to tell you that. Matter of fact, he'd always say, "Hi, my name is Josh, and I'm fucked up." He wasn't perfect. He never pretended to be. He was real. He was authentic, and he was genuine. Rules didn't work for him. He would always say that. He'd always talk about the last 3 rehabs he got kicked out of. Not for relapse, not for using, because he had problems following rules, because the rules got in his way. And now there may be some of those of you out there who may be saying, well, maybe that's why he wasn't successful. Maybe he didn't follow the rules, or maybe he didn't work the program correctly. Well, let me stop you right there and help you down. Okay, I want to help you down. I want to help you. I would hate to see you fall off your hypocritical, self-righteous high horse. So let me correct that statement for you. All right, he didn't work your program correctly. He didn't work your program because your program didn't work for him. He took a program. He took the 12 steps of Alcoholics Anonymous, and he made it work for him. And that's why he lived and he loved and he breathed the crosstalk meetings, because instead of being judged, instead of being told how he had to identify and all these rules that he had to follow when he came in a crosstalk meeting, man, he could reach people the way they needed to be reached, rather than reaching people the way he was told to reach them. He could make an impact. He could truly communicate a message of hope, healing, and restoration to so many others. And I've watched week after week, night after night, I watched him do that. He absolutely loved crosstalk. The rules got in his way, though. The rules prevented him, from being able to reach as many people as possible. I apologize for wanting to refer to my notes. I often think back to us calling him Bigfoot. I mean, he'd only be seen at certain times, mainly at crosstalk meetings, right? He was fiercely loyal to those that he loved. Without question, he was fiercely loyal. And he made those who he cared about most believe in something they couldn't see, meaning recovery. He made those that he cared about most believe in something that he couldn't see. And one of the joys about sponsoring people and helping people is you get to see their growth. You get to see them when they first come in and where they end up at. And I think back to Josh, man, because they told me whenever I came in, you need to find somebody who has something you want and attach yourself to them. Well, I'd already been in recovery for a couple of years whenever I met Josh, and lo and behold, he exemplified, he personified the very thing. He reminded me of the very thing that I wanted, that I still seek out on a daily basis. He lived more in his last year of his life than in all of his years prior. And he would tell you that. He touched lives. He left impressions on countless more lives than what I could even begin to articulate. As I said, not in a single time did he ever not put the needs and wants of others. He never wanted to be a burden. Never wanted to be a burden on anybody, yet he always wanted to lift people up and encourage people. He lived recovery. He knew that getting better and staying better meant that he had to work with people. He knew he had to work with others to stay clean and sober. He knew that he had to be of maximum service to his fellows, and that's exactly what he did. He created and left more of an imprint on my life, on my family's lives, and all of our friends than more folks that I know who might have 20 years of sobriety, 20 years of recovery under the belt. He did more in 1 year than what some people have done in 20. I know he did more in 1 year. He's lived more in 1 year than what I've lived in almost 3. He exemplified, personified recovery, in my opinion. While you may say that he was not successful, I say that he was. He was always working to lift others up. He was always working to encourage and love others. He would give you the shirt off his back. And again, sometimes to his own detriment. He personified, and this is going to piss some people off, but I don't care. He personified the very principles that you profess to live by in the big book. He personified not only those principles, but the principles in the big book, which he read every single morning. I know because we would talk about it. When I define success and recovery, I think of him. When I think of success and recovery, I think of him. He'd get someone to laugh when they had a bad day. He would get someone to smile even when they thought that they couldn't. He did and achieved more, all of and more, I should say, than what I could ever hope to do and achieve in my recovery journey. He truly knew how to connect and engage with those who suffered. He truly did create a message of hope, healing, and restoration to others. A drug addict, think about it, a drug addict from Greenbrier County, West Virginia, could leave such a huge imprint, such a huge impression on the lives of others. It's just beyond me. Who would have ever thought that our paths would have ever crossed? A former drug addict, a former cop, and yet Drenda and Eric and Lucky and Sam, and I could go on. Yeah, we all of our paths crossed, and it was for a reason. The year that he spent in our lives is a year that we will never forget. You couldn't talk to this man, not even for 5 seconds, without remembering your interaction. You may not believe recovery is possible, but I'm here to tell you, to point to you, to his example. Josh McCormick, a drug addict from Greenbrier County, West Virginia. He got sober. He lived his life to the fullest, to the absolute fullest. And that ever-elusive creature called recovery, he proved to me that ever-elusive creature called recovery does exist. He proved it to me day in and day out. He proved to me BigFoot is real. Josh, we love you. We'll never forget you.